What's cool about this, I thumbed through them. There's only 5 of them, so you won't be too bored and it won't be too long. Also, there's one pretty much of each year that I was talking about in my videos I've put out recently. So check those out if you're like, hey, what's a $2 bill worth other than $2? 2017A is what we'll start off with. I just put them in the order of newest to oldest. As of the making of this video, these are going to be the newest series date you'll see when you find them in pocket money as well as just from the bank and stuff. When we're talking about values, which is the big question, you're really looking for star notes, which are replacement notes. You'll notice that with the little star and the serial number. You're looking for fancy serial numbers, which is where they have patterns and stuff like that. Those are going to be really valuable. If you're lucky enough to find error notes and ink errors and stuff like that, an actual error, then those will be worth really good money. Sometimes they can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. You can see high grade examples of 2017 A2s. Realistic price, couple $100 when they're like really, really high graded, close to basically uncirculated grade. Since they're so new, those are, yes, worth money, but not like crazy amounts like some bicentennial $2 bills can be, and like heavy errors and stuff. Since we're on the subject of errors, this little stuff you see at the top here where there's like little tick marks, that's the teeth of the money counting machine at the bank, so don't be confused by that. Same here. You'll see it all jacked up on the top of the bill. Same deal. It's John Trumbull's painting of the Declaration of Independence being signed on the back. This is the biggest change they did in the bicentennial that they put out in 1976, which we'll get to in a minute at the end of this video. If you don't care about the newer twos, then skip to the end of the video. I talk about the ones that were put out in 76. You can look for issues with ink around the edges of this painting. There's also some issues that you can find within the painting that would be more like ink smears and stuff like that that have cropped up for other folks over the years that make them really valuable. On this bad boy here too, you can see at the bottom where it says in Declaration of Independence and In God We Trust, you can kind of see where it is smudging up a bit. This is a wet ink transfer from when they cut the notes. They come in a sheet, generally speaking, of 32 of them, but there are other versions. But anyhow, they'll cut them into individual notes, and then they'll put them, one atop another to make what's called a strap, which is 100 of them together and then wrap with a little band. They'll do this prematurely before they dry, and it'll transfer over. If it's really dramatic, it's gumming up the words or covering stuff, then it's almost an ink smear, and that would be an error. Moving on. 2013 note. There was nothing on that one, by the way. Nothing collectible about it, but hopefully that info kind of helps you. You can see a little bit of a shift in the seal here on this 2013 series. The ones you're going to see the most of are going to be 2013 $2 notes. There was also, albeit a little less of them, a ton of star notes, but star notes from 2013 series for $2 notes are going to usually be the most valuable if they're in really good condition. But as we get rid of star notes over the next while as they're redesigning notes, and the new technology doesn't need to have star notes, they can just put together a strap when notes are jacked up. They're just going to get rid of them and then just put a non-sequential 100 bills together. So they don't need star notes anymore. Those will go up in value, especially on twos, since twos are funky and a lot of people don't spend them and stuff. They're very collectible. Keep your star notes. Those will be worth good money. Same deal as like the 2017 series $2 bills. Those are going to be worth kind of similar to these 2013. But there was less 2017A $2 bills made, the ones we just looked at, especially from districts that are lower print runs, kind of rarer ones. These are going to be in similar Atlanta notes and stuff like that. Those will be worth a little hair more in uncirculated grades. But if they're in really good condition, you can sell them for like $3 to $5. Graded, they usually sell around like $40, $50, even high grade, because there's so many of these 2013 $2 bills out there. Same deal with the errors in the back of the note. You can look for kind of ink issues, errors, so on and so forth. But there you go. Hey, kind of a cool serial number. 1995, so we're getting down there. 95s were really cool because there was almost a 20-year break. They put out re-put out, if I can talk, $2 bills. They had red seal $2 bills in the 60s. Then they put out the $2 bill again for the bicentennial. Then they wouldn't put it out anymore or change it. They'd print them, but they wouldn't put out a new series date till 1995. So, almost 20 years later, which is pretty crazy. This was because they were like, yeah, well, twos aren't getting spent. People are hoarding them. They're not a daily transactional denomination. Yeah, let's print them a little differently or sparsely. There's also speculation, since they were put out all funky and in weird batches, that 1995s, in essence, like a lot of other twos and newer ones, are printed kind of as needed rather than printed in large sums like regular money. There's a few cool ones. So there's, for 95, they actually put out in the year 2000, 1995 $2 bills, which sounds goofy, but they did it for the millennium. So they'll start with the year 2000, and I believe they were all star notes, and the district letter in the front will be A through L. So if it starts with 2000, you got a star note, it's A through L, then you have one of those millennium notes. Those sell pretty good, even kind of beat up, around $20. So if you find those, really cool. Same dealio on 95s though. Cool serial number shifts, like this one's got a little shift in the seal, but if it's way over, those would be good to look for. Back of the note. This one's printed a little down, a little off center. So misaligned prints, miscuts, things of that nature are always good to look for. And then this one's damaged up, of course, as you can see here. But issues with the overall print are always good to look for in any bill, let alone twos. But these 95s are really great. They had a little less of them printed than the 76 notes, which we'll get to in a second. So it makes them really cool. And then this serial number is close. But if fancy serial numbers would also be something great to look for, especially on these 95 twos, some of which with like date notes, especially on twos, since it depicts the Declaration of Independence being signed. If you have that date, July 4th, 1776, those can be worth a couple $100 in really good condition. Getting down there. Last two are both 1976. Let me get them square. Oh, we'll just do them one at a time. What the heck? One seems way more beat up than the other anyway. 1976 are cool because, one, they're the oldest out of modern $2 notes. Now, they wouldn't be they changed the size of the note previous to this to our modern kind of small face currency is what we call it. Or, well, small sized rather. 1976 would be the date that they commemorated the signing of the Declaration of Independence, as the bicentennial. And so these are really great. There was many 1976 bills that would have been, postmarked on April 13th of that year. And that's when they were released. So many people flock to the post office. They'll actually have a stamp or a postage stamp on it. And those are really good. They're not necessarily crazy valuable. If they're graded really high, then they can be worth good money. Those are the ones that are actually stamped. Uncirculated or really high grade or good condition $2 notes from the 1976 series can be worth really good money. I mean, I've seen them sell for over $100 in shops. Real life examples of them selling, in really good condition. Graded examples of these can sell, in some cases, over $1,000. We've seen this through Great Collections and Heritage. So you can look that up if you don't believe those numbers. Now, this one's really beat up. You can see the difference in the toning of the ink we use kind of now versus back then, even though we have ourselves, the same note. As you can see, there's no difference in it other than the cotton linen composition of the paper is the same, but the type of cotton and the way that they extract the cotton from the plant and then utilize it into a textile to make the note is a lot different with modern technology than it is or was back in 1976 time period. You can also see difference in the toning. These are a little darker, which is due to age. However, the ink types were slightly different. Another 1976 note. This one's has no reason to call home about it, but it's definitely beat up. It's definitely seen its day, but man, how beautiful to see a note that is almost, 50 years old here we are right here. That's the thing I love about this hobby the most, is that here we are holding this thing that's 50 years old. It was probably folded up in somebody's wallet. They couldn't really fold too well, but you know, I just love to think about the story of where this thing's been, what transactions it's been used for, good or bad. You know, it's always interesting. And then $2 bills are my favorite. These banknotes are fun, they're quirky, and many people, when you go to spend them, are either super excited or like, this guy's giving me a fake note. I tried to use one at the Dollar Tree the other day, and the girl had to call a manager up. It was weird. They thought I was like robbing the place. But other than that, I usually use them for tips out at the bar or restaurants. This one has a bunch of crap on it. It's seen its day. It was folded over like this and then down and jammed into somewhere. And then somebody traded it into the old bank. On the back, same depiction, of course. So you're looking for the same stuff as really any other twos, but with 1976, star notes are worth a bit more than face value, generally speaking, around $3 to $5. Fancy serial numbers are usually the most valuable, along with errors, if it's got a total misprint, gutter fold, issues like that. And then, like I mentioned earlier, you can get $2 bills in uncut sheets. And for 1976, they sold these in uncut sheets as well as 95 and others, right from the BEP. So if you're able to find an uncut sheet of 1976 $2 bills, those are worth really good money. But individually, error notes and then really high-grade specimens of these $2 banknotes for the 1976 series are gonna be the most valuable and sought after. But I was really glad to get all 5 of these from the old bank this morning. You know, Monday's a drag. I've been sick a few days. So it was pretty cool to get something that, ironically, was some of the years that I just covered in my other videos and a denomination I absolutely love. So I needed a little 2017 $2 bill to give to a buddy of mine. Other than that, I keep all 1976 $2 bills. I just like them. And they're the oldest of the modern twos, so I think they're really cool. Let me know what you think about these $2 bills. Do you collect $2 bills yourself? And let me know what you've come across in your coin and banknote searches lately in the comments. We'll talk there, and I'll see you in the next video.